Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. Today I have a short list of some DC key issues in a 9.8 that are rising in value. So first one here is a Hellblazer #1. First solo John Constantine title. This is pretty much second in line as like a big John Constantine key issue that you'd absolutely want. Swamp Thing 37, first appearance of John Constantine in the 9.8. I think if you're lucky on that one, you get it close to 1,500, but it's probably a bit closer to 2,000 in a 9.8. So Hellblazer #1, a little bit more affordable, but still looking really good as a 9.8 on the census. Yeah, there's 200 9.8s in a blue label, a 1 of 200. That's pretty fantastic. My initial feeling was like there's probably got to be like 500 or 600 of these. Just, you know, first solo John Constantine title, you'd think there'd be more, but 1 of 200 is a pretty fantastic limited John Constantine collector item. 16.8% is the 9.8 ratio, so really solid ratio for kind of a late 80s book. Kind of mid to late 80s. Of all graded copies, only 16.8% are 9.8s. So we get into some prices for a Hellblazer #1 in a 9.8. One recently selling for $490. Go back about a month or two, I saw one sell for $465. So this one a little bit under $500. And I think for myself, I'm kind of considering this one. You know, I like John Constantine. Maybe I'm not like the biggest John Constantine fan. So the Swamp Thing 37 may be a little bit out of my price range, but this Hellblazer #1, with it looking great on the census for a 9.8 of this era, I think under $500 is just feeling like a really screaming value. And yeah, myself maybe not being like the biggest John Constantine fan, but still liking him, this might be kind of a sweet spot for some John Constantine collectors out there. So yeah, kind of $465, maybe up to $490 if it just looks awesome in like a new case. For Hellblazer #1, our price targets to aim for. All right, next one here is an Omega Men #3, first appearance of Lobo. Yeah, Lobo's like a really solid DC first appearance. That's got some potential, I think. I think with Lobo, like they would be able to use him on the big screen in like any way possible. Like he's kind of like a mercenary, like a bounty hunter type of thing. So, you know, he could be an anti-hero or he could be a villain in whatever kind of movie. So a lot of potential, I think, with Lobo, and kind of just a no-brainer big DC key issue to consider, for sure. 2,328 9.8s out there. Yeah, quite a lot of these in a 9.8. Not the toughest 9.8, but certainly you get that big first appearance with a really cool cover. 35.3% the 9.8 ratio. You wish that was a little bit lower. This is one that I remember initially getting into things. I'm a pretty decent Lobo fan, and I kind of wanted this one, but not that tough in a 9.8, so I sort of, really wanted to go after a few other DC books, mostly like Batman DC 9.8s, admittedly. But Omega Men #3, recent sales in a 9.8, $374.95 and $394.89. And this one's absolutely rising in value over time. Before COVID and everything like that, this one was under 200. I remember $175 was a pretty solid deal on this one in kind of 2019. So now we're up to $375, kind of knocking on the $400 range. Now, a similar situation on that Hellblazer #1. That one's been slowly but steadily rising in value over time. Now it's like $490. I remember that one right around $200 in 2019. All of these are pretty much rising in value, but an Omega Men just a little under $400, and it's actually pulling back a little bit. Omega Men 3, first appearance of Lobo. I'm pretty sure they were around $500 at the kind of peak of the hot comic book market about a year ago. So now they're just pulling back a little bit under 400. I think Omega Men #3 is making a lot of sense in a 9.8. Okay, next one I do have a Batman 368. Kind of surprised that this one is, it's kind of slowly but steadily trending in value. I recently talked about a Batman 366 on a recent video. I do prefer that one. That's got a cooler, in my opinion, Joker cover, and that's the first time Jason Todd gets in the Robin costume. This is the first official time, Jason Todd is officially the second Robin in this issue, with a really cool cover, though, as well. Not the toughest 9.8. This was one I did pick up. Certainly, it was maybe would even have been in 2018. Might have been early 2019, though. We'll get to prices in a moment. But 319 9.8s in a blue label, a 1 of 319. 37.5% is a 9.8 ratio. So yeah, you'd like to see that lower. At least in the 20s on an 80s book. Lower the better on the 9.8 ratios. Hopefully maybe even into like the teens would be awesome, but not a really tough 9.8 on a Batman 368. Keeps it pretty affordable. I think they're selling right around $250. And this was one I pretty much overpaid for mine. It was like 130 or 140, I believe. I think it was a little bit under 150 US dollars. Whereas if you were really patient on this one during that time, you could have got it right around $100. Basically, this one was like a couple auctions in 2019 for like 105 type of dollars. So now they're about 250, rising slowly but steadily over time. And you know, even though it's not the toughest 9.8, I've come around on this one to just, like, it's got, you know, first official appearance of Second Robin with a great cover. So, you know, it is kind of, as a Batman fan, just a really good, affordable one to target in a 9.8. Right around $250 would be a pretty solid deal on a Batman 368. And even it, like, I'm kind of on the outlook on this one in a newsstand. I seem to have now the newsstand 9.8s of a lot of the Robin key issues, but this one I don't have the newsstand in, so maybe one to keep an eye out for the newsstand version. You get a little more rare version of a Batman 368 in a 9.8. Next one, a huge key issue. Yeah, a no-brainer, I would say. DC Comics presents number 26. First appearance of the new Teen Titans in preview, and his first appearance of, what is it, like Starfire, Raven, and Cyborg, which are, you know, I think they really came to fame in kind of the Teen Titans Go series. Like, a lot of kids really like these kind of characters, and because of that, this book has absolutely risen in value in a 9.8. It's been a great one to invest in. There's 485 9.8s in a blue label, 13.6%, the 9.8 ratio, so just looking solid on the census for a big key issue, kind of a low teens 9.8 ratio, a 1 of 485. So DC Comics presents, I did recently saw one sell for $1,999 or best offer. Yeah, it was on eBay. That's the only sale I'm seeing recently. I saw one sell in the past at $1,599. So I'm guessing that $199 or $1,999 or best offer kind of probably went around $1,600. And if you go back in time on this one though, just even like about a year ago or so, they were like $1,100, $1,200. So, and you go back even more than that, this one was like $600 in 2019. So, you know, this one has just pretty much slowly but steadily increased in value. I've highlighted it off and on as like pretty much a no-brainer DC key issue to get. Yeah, DC Comics presents 26. All those characters' first appearances really have a foothold, I think, with younger people that like DC and like that kind of Teen Titans Go cartoon. So I think there's a bright future for DC Comics presents number 26. And it is one that has absolutely been a great trending up 9.8 over the last kind of 2 to 3 years. So yeah, closer to 1,500 in a direct edition on a DC Comics Presents 26 is going to be a pretty screaming value. And occasionally, like, great looking ones will kind of go closer to 2,000. So that's the range on that one. Alrighty, the last one here is a Batman New 52, number 6. I'm really interested to see what happens with this one because, you know what, I actually hadn't seen the Batman movie. I got to get to see it in the next few days. But I've talked to a few people that have saw it, and they're saying like the Court of Owls wasn't really in it. So this one has really kind of gone from like zero to hero leading up to the Batman movie. We'll get into prices in a moment, but this is first full appearance of Court of Owls. It's a really great, fantastic art. Basically, Talon and Batman are fighting in this one with the Court of Owls all watching, sort of, you know, at the top of the fighting arena kind of thing. But yeah, really great Capullo art on this one, absolutely. 128 9.8s in a blue label, 47.8% is the 9.8 ratio. Recent prices for this one. Interesting. So the most recent price was $258.25 I saw one sell for. If you go back in December, a couple had sold $325. I think one of these was in January, $325 and $329, with the most recent one going for $258.25. So maybe this one's already cooling down with, you know, people maybe, you know, being a little bit disappointed that the Court of Owls weren't in the Batman movie. Cooling down a little bit. I think this one could maybe cool down even a little bit more, but right around $200. This is an absolute, like, really great issue to read. I think the art's fantastic. I think it is the first full appearance of the Court of Owls. It's a great one to consider, and I'm going to be watching this one on the pullback. Yeah, I think this can pull back just a little bit more with that little bit of a disappointment that the Court of Owls were not in the Batman. Right around $200 is, I think, a great value on this one. Yeah, this, and you know, I recommended this one as a pretty decent speculation leading into the Batman movie because there were some like videos on YouTube where they show like that card had an owl on the front and you only saw it for like 2 seconds in the trailer or whatever, one of those videos. But that didn't really work out, the speculation. But this is still a really cool comic book. And in the 9.8, I think it's one to consider on the cooldown. Hopefully, yeah, 258.25 the last sale. Hopefully it just gets in kind of that, you know, 205 or 200 to 225 range. And right around that range in a 9.8, I think it's one to target. So I'll be keeping an eye on for a little bit more of a cooldown on a Batman New 52 number 6, first full appearance of the Court of Owls. Alright team, just a short list of DC comics to consider, and I don't usually talk about these ones too much. I wanted to make sure to kind of bring something new to the table. And that Hellblazer number 1, to be honest, like I should just be kind of recommending that all the time because I really think it's a great 9.8 on the census, under $500. That's you know, first solo John Constantine title. That one's making a lot of sense. It's just a pretty tough 9.8 that's still affordable. So yeah, hopefully you got some ideas. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. If you're liking my content, please subscribe and hit that bell, and I'll keep you updated on future videos.